Hello and welcome to another video, and in this video we are going to build this e-commerce website with HTML, CSS and JavaScript. Now at the top we have our navigation, which includes our logo, and when I hover over this you can see this mega menu which has an image and 3 columns. We also have these 2 drop downs also here, then some icons at the right. Below that we have this carousel which has some content and an image. When I click on this button here, it should take us to the next carousel. Then below that we have this section which is shop collections. Then we have these various collections here. We have this juice collection, mango and grapes, and you can see this nice zoom effect. Then below that we have the featured products. We have these sliders also here, and each of the products you can see this nice hovering effect. You can see this one also. Then when I click on this, we should move to the next product. When I click again, we should move to the next product. Now below that we have this new product section which has some products also here. Then underneath that we have this banner area, and you can see this nice zoom effect. Then we have this brand section, and the last thing is the footer. Then when I click on this product, it should take us to the product page, and we have category here. We have different categories and the brands also. Then we have sort by name, we can sort by price, we have relevance also. Then we have ascending, or we can sort by descending. Then we have our products here. Then below that we have this pagination also with this nice hovering effect. Then when I click on this first product, it takes us to the product details page where we have this image here, then the related images. Then also we have the name of the product, the price, and we can change the quantity that we want. Then we can also input the quantity manually, or we can click on add to cart to add this product to the cart. Then we have the product detail with some description here. Then we have the related product below it. When I click on add to cart, this should take us to the cart page where we have the various products in the cart. Then we have this button here, we can increase the quantity or we can decrease the quantity. Then we have the total price of the product. Then below that we have the subtotal price. Then we have tax and the overall total. Then we have this button here which is proceed to checkout. Then when I click on home, we should go back home. Then here we still have our carousel. And another interesting part of this website is it is fully responsive. So let's go to the mobile view. So let me click this, and here, and we have our logo and our hamburger. When I click this, it should bring our nav list out. When I click, it should close it. Let me click it again. Then here we have our mega menu, and you can see the first column, the second column, and the third column. Then we have these drop downs here, and the last drop down. Then we have our icons also at the bottom. Now let me go up and close this. Then we still have our carousel. Then we have our collections. Also we have our featured product, these sliders. When I click this, it should move to the next product, and when I click this, it should bring us to the previous product. Then we have the new product section. Okay, let's open our navigation and click on product, and this should lead us to the products page where we have the category, we have the brands, then we can sort by name, and we can sort by order also. Then we have the products. Then below that we have this pagination, then our footer. So let's click on the first product again, and we should go to the product details page, which is having the product name, the price, the quantity, and so on. When we click on add to cart again, this should take us to the cart page. Alright, so this is the website I'm going to build in this video, and if you like this project, make sure you leave a like, subscribe, and share this video. Alright, so the first thing we have to do is to download the setup file. So open your browser and search for wp-codevo.com. Then here we have the article for the e-commerce website, which is the first one here. So click on it, or maybe in the future if you don't see this article here, go to blogs. Let me close this, then scroll down, and from here we have the article for the e-commerce website. So click on it, then wait for it to load, and scroll down and look for setup file. So here we can download the setup file. So click on here, then this should open a new tab. Click start to download. Alright, now I think mine is in the downloads folder here. So let me grab it from here and send it to the desktop. Then let me go to my desktop and extract the file. So let me extract it here. and now we have access to the project. So let me open this, and here we have some simple files. Here we have index.html, styles.css, and we have this folder, images folder, which contains all the images you're going to use in the website. Then in the JS folder also we have index.js and slider.js. So let's open a project with VS Code. You can use any text editor of your choice. Now let me wait for it. Then let's open index.html, and here I've already included our favicon, font awesome, swiper.js, then box icon, and also our style sheet. Then below that we also have swiper.js, the script for swiper.js, and our custom script, which is slider.js and index.js. Now if you open styles.css, you can see we have some colors here, and we have the browser reset, which is margin 0, padding 0, and box sizing also I've set it to inherit, which is taking this box sizing from the HTML elements. Now I've also included the font we are going to use, which is Open Sans. Then for the body, we've set the font family, font size, background color, and we have this H1 to H5 also here. We have our link and so on. So now let's go to index.html and start with our navigation. You can open, so here's the website you're going to build, and you can see we have this mega menu here, we have this drop down menu also, and we have some icons here and a logo. So let's start building this. So let's go back to our text editor, and here let's leave a comment of navigation. Then let's start with nav, and let's give it a class of nav. Then within nav we are going to have a div with a class of wrapper, so wrapper, and our secondary class which we defined here, so container class. So let's add this container class to it. So let's say container. Then within this let's have a logo. Let's start with our logo class, and this logo we are going to have a link, so a link. Then within this link, so this should link to slash, and within this link let's have our image. So let's enter into images folder, and let's look for logo.png. Let's save this. Then below the logo let's have our nav list. So we start with a URL with a class of nav list. Then within this nav list let's start with our top, that's for the mobile view. Then within the top div let's have a label, and this label is going to have a class of btn and another class of close-btn. Within this label we are going to have an icon which is not like this. We are going to have an icon which is I, then it is FAS, which is a font awesome icon, .fa-times. That's for the close icon. Let's save this, copy this icon and paste it below the nav list, so the ending tag which is UL, then paste it here, and this will be for the hamburger. So let's change the class respectively, and this is going to have a class of, let's say here will be open btn, so open btn, then fas fa dash, this will be bars, so bars. Then let's save this. Let's go to, so let's open the project with live server. So I'm going to click on go live, or you can use the shortcut Alt LO. So let me click this and wait for it, and here we have the logo, the times, and the bars. Let me close this. Then for the website we don't need it also. Now let's go back to our text editor, and within the nav list, so below the top div, let's start with our LIs. So here we are going to have an LI with a, so without any class, and here we are going to have a link in it. So we want a link, and this link is going to go to, let's say, index.html. So So html. Then within the link, let's have maybe a text of home. So let's copy this down. Let's say 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So let's move for this one. So I'm holding Alt and I'm clicking. So you can hold Alt and click. Then let's remove this. Now for the first one, it will be home. Then the second one will be products. This will lead to the products page. Products. Then the href will be products.html. Now the third one will be the mega menu. So we are going to start with, so here should be what? Let's put something like shop. Then let's also give it a class. So a class of, let's say desktop item. Then within the link, we are going to have a span which is an icon. So it will be i.fas.fa-chevron. So chevron dash down. Then below the link, let's have an input which would be a type of checkbox. Then this, let's give it an ID. Let's remove the name and let's give it an ID of show mega. Then below the input, let's have a label. So this label to be for show mega. So show mega. Then let's also give it a class of, so class of mobile. So this is for the mobile item. Then within this, let's have this shop. So let's copy this with the icon and paste it within it. Then below the label, we are going to have, let's say, a div. So a div with a class of mega box. Then within this mega box, we are going to have another div with a class of content. Then within content, let's have a div with a class of row. And this first row is going to contain an image. Let's enter into images folder and let's look for nav png. Then below this, we are going to have another row which would be, so this row will have our header and it will have a text of, let's say, shop layout. Then below this header, we are going to have a URL with a class of mega links. So mega links. Then within this URL, we are going to have an li, and within the li, we are going to have a link. So this, the first one will have, let's say, a text of, let's say, shop with background. And let's copy this down 3 times. Then below this row, okay, let's copy this row because the third row is similar to the second one. Then let's change the text to, let's say, here will be product layout. So product layout. Then let's copy this row down again. And this will be, let's say, filter layout. So filter. So filter layout. You can change the text individually if you like, but I'm going to leave it like this. So let's go to our browser and let's check if we are on track. Okay, so this is what we have. It's not nice. So let's go to our text editor and let's do same for. So I'm going to collapse this for the, so let's collapse this and let's do same for our blog. So this will be blog. Then below it, we are going to have our drop down. So here we are also going to have, so let's give it a class of, so class of, let's say, desktop. So desktop dash item. Then the text will be vendors. So vendors. Then we are going to have our icon again. So let's go to the first one. Let's open this and let's copy this icon here. Then let's scroll down to the drop down. So this drop down, you're going to paste it here. Then below the link, so let me bring this down. So below the link, let me bring this down also. Then yeah, below the link, you're going to have input with a type of checkbox. Let's move the name. Then let's give it an ID of show drop 1. So show drop 1. Then below that, let's have a label. So label for show drop 1. Then within the label, we're going to, so let's first give it a class. So a class of mobile item. So mobile. Then let's copy from here to the last I, and let's paste it here. So this is for the mobile view. Then below the label, you're going to have a URL with a class of drop-menu 1. So within this menu 1, let's have our li, and this li, you're going to have a link in it. So the first one will be, let's say vendor, so vendor store. Then let's say listings. Let's copy this down, and the second one, let's change it to store, let's say details. So here should be details. So for the last one, it's also going to be the same form, which is a drop down. So let's copy this one and bring it down. I use Shift Alt and the down arrow key. Let me remove this. Then here we are going to change so from drop 1 to, let's drop 2, and let's change this one to also to drop 2. Then the drop menu to be 2. Then let's change the text in it. So here, let me hold Alt and let me click here for multiple cursor, and let's change it to page. Then for the text, let's change this to, let's say about. Then the second one will also be contact. Let's copy this down 2 times, and let's change this to FAQ. So FAQ, oh sorry, this should be FAQ. Then the last one should be page 404. Then the last li will be our icons. So this last li will be our icons. So let's say this should lead us to cat.html. We haven't created this yet. We'll create it in the later video, but we have to put it there so that we don't forget. So let's remove this text here, and this would contain a span, and this span we are going to have an so not input, let's have an image, and this, let's enter into our images folder, and let's look for shopping bag.svg. Then below that, let's have a small text, so small, and let's give it a class also. So class of, let's say count. Then let's also give it our dflex class that we created, and let's give it a text of 0. Now below the link, so below this link, we are going to have another icon. So let's have a span, and this span is going to contain an image. Then let's look for search.svg. Let's save this, and let's go back to our browser, and let's see what we have. Now let's go to styles.css, and let's start writing some styles for the navigation. So go to styles.css and scroll down. Then here, let's leave a comment of navigation. Now let's select our nav. Then let's give it position of fixed, and top should be 0. Let's give it left of 0. Then width should be 100%. Let's also give it z index of, let's say 999. Then background color, let's set it to our white color. Then let's also give it a height. So height of, let's say, 8 rem. Then line height should also be 8 rem to center it. Now when nav has a class of, so when this nav has a class of fix dash nav, we'll be adding this class later on with JavaScript. So when it has a class of fix nav, let's give it a width of 100%. Then box shadow should be 0.5 pixels, then 15 pixels. RGBA, let's set it to 0, so yes, 0. Then we want 0.3. Then below that, let's also give it another z index of 999. So let's copy this and paste it there, which is the same thing. You can remove it. Now let's go and copy the class for our wrapper. So let's look for wrapper. So we need this wrapper. Then let's go to styles.css, and here, so let's have our nav, and we want our wrapper. Let's give it display flex, align items center, then justify content center. Let's also set position to relative, then height should be 100%. Let's go to our browser and check if things are getting better. Alright, this is what we have. So let's go back to styles.css and let's start with our logo. So for the logo, let's give it a height of 100%. So let's have our wrapper, then we want logo. The logo, let's give it height of 100%. Now let's get our links. So the link in the logo. Then here I just copied it. Let me paste it here. Then we want the link in the logo. Let's give it display of flex. We want to center the logo. Let's give it align items of center. Then justify content of center. And height should be 100% also. Now let's get our nav list. So for the nav list, we want wrapper, then nav list. Let's give it display inline flex. Then let's get the icons. So we want nav list. So let's enter into li and let's look for our icon. Let's give them color of, let's say, gray 2. Then now let's get our links in the nav list, all the links. So let's get our nav list. Then we want all our links. Let's give them color of black. Then let's give them font size of, let's say, 1.5 rem. Then padding should be 0.9 rem and also 1.5 rem. Now let's get border box. So let's say border box and let's set it to 0.5 rem. Then let's also give it some transition. So transition, let's say all, then 300 milliseconds, then ease. Now when we hover over the link, let's change the color. So when we hover, let's give it a different color. Let's set it to our primary color, so primary. Let's go back to our browser and see if we are getting close. So this is what we have. Let's go back to our text editor, and now let's select our, so let's get our drop 1 and drop 2. So nav list, and let's go to index.html and let's look for the drop down. So let's collapse this. So we want this drop 1, yes, this one, this drop 1 and drop 2. These are drop 1 and then drop 2. So let's go back to our style.css. Let's paste this. Let's copy this down, and here let's change it to 2. Now let's give it box shadow off. So let's copy this box shadow. We had some box shadow here. Let's copy this and let's paste it here, and let's change the value. Here we want 0, so we want 0, and here we want 2 pixels. Then here let's change it to 0.1, and let's give it a width of 20 rem. Then the top should be 8.5 rem. Also let's give it line height of 4.5 rem. Then position absolute, let's give it a background color of white. So our white color, not like this, our white color. Then let's also give it opacity of 0. so opacity of 0. Then let's give it visibility of hidden, and also let's give it transition of this transition. So let's copy this and let's paste it here. Then let's go to the links in the drop 1 and drop 2. So let's paste it here. I want the li, the link. Let's copy this down and let's change this to 2. Then here let's do it this way, but first let's comment this out so that we can see what we are doing. So in the links, let's have display to be block, then font size should be 1.5 rem, and let's give it width of 100%. Now let's set padding to, so padding to, let's say 0, 0, 0, the 1.5. Now let's give it a border radius of 0. Then let's set color to, so color should be our grade 2. Now when you hover over the link, let's change the color. So when we hover, let's change the color to primary, so our primary color. Then now let's get the drop 1 and drop 2. So drop 1, then when we hover over the link, so the li, we want the li when we hover. So for the drop 1, we want also drop 2. So this drop 2, and we want our mega box also. So let's go and look for mega box. Let's open this. We want mega box. Where is mega box? So this mega box, let's copy this, then let's paste it here. Then let's remove this. So when we hover, we want opacity to be 1, then visibility should be visible, then the top should be 6.5 rem. Then let's get our mega box class, so our mega box, and let's give it similar box shadow. Let's paste it here, and let's give it position of absolute. Then top should be, so top should be 8.5 rem. Then the left should be 0. Also width, let's set it to 100%. Then padding should be 0, 3 rem. Let's give it background color of white. Then let's give it opacity of 0. Then visibility of hidden. And let's also give it some transition. So let me copy this and let's paste it here. Then let's uncomment this. Then let's go to our browser and check. All right, the links are there, but they are hidden. Let's go to our text editor again. Now we want our mega, so let's select our mega box. Then we want the content. Then here let's give it padding of 0, not 0, 2.5, so 2.5 rem, then 2 rem. Then we want display to be flex, then width should be 100%. Then let's give it justify content of space between. Now let's get a row in the content. So let me copy this class and paste it here, and I want a row. Then this, let's give it width of calc, so calc, and we want 25% minus 3 rem. Then let's give it a line height of 4.5 rem. Now let's get the image in a row. So let's copy this and let's paste it here. We want the image Let's give it width of 100%, then height of 100%, object fit to cover. Now let's get the header for the row. So let's copy this and paste it down here. We want this header, so the header for the individual row. So we want this header class, or not even a class, it's just header. Then let's give it font size of 1.6 rem, then font weight to 700. Let's also give it color of gray, so gray 1. Now let's get the mega links. So let's see, here we have the mega links. So let's copy this, and here let's put it here. We also need this before the mega links, so let's paste it here like this. We want the row, then within this mega link, let's give it border left. So border left of 1 pixel, solid, then RGBA, let's give it some white RGBA. Oh shit, let's say 255, then 255 again, let's say 2.09. so this color, let's save this. Below that, let's give it margin left of -4 rem. Then let's get the li in the content. So we want the li, and let's give it padding of 0.2 rem. Then let's get the links in the li. So we want the link, let's give it padding of 0.2 rem. Then let's set display to block, then font size should be 1.5 rem, then color should be gray, so gray, let's say 2, not primary, gray 2. Now when we hover over the link, so when we hover, let's give it color of primary, so our primary color. Then for the mobile item, so we want nav list, so nav list, and we want the class mobile item. So let's go to index.html, and here let's look for this class, which is mobile item, for our drop down. Then let's paste it here. Then for the mobile item, let's give it display of none. Then let's get the inputs. So for nav list also, let's get all the inputs, and let's give them display of none also. Then let's get the btn, which is our, so this btn class. So for the clothes and the hamburger, so we want wrapper, then we want btn. Let's give it color of white, so we want white color. Then font size should be 2 rem, then cursor should be pointer, and let's give it display of none. Now let's get a span in the icons. So we want a span in the icon, so nav list, and we want icons, then span. Let's give display inline block, and also margin should be 0.5 rem, then 1 rem, then 0, 0. Then let's set position to relative. Let's go back to our browser and check. Alright, so let's copy this, and for the icon, the link in the span, so here we want the link. Then let's give it padding to, let's set padding to 0. Then display should be inline block. Then let's get the count class in the icons. So nav list, we want icons and we want the count class. Let's set justify content to center, then position should be absolute. Also, let's give it top of 0.8 rem, then right should be negative 0.8 rem. Let's give it background color of our primary color, so primary color. Then let's set height to let's say 2 rem. Then padding should be 0.5, and let's give it color of white. Then below that, let's have font weight of 700, then border radius of, let's set it to 50%. Let's go and check if we are on track. So it seems something is wrong somewhere. Let's inspect this, and here we have our nav, the wrapper, the nav list, and nav list we have the top, so the top. Then here we have the li, we have another li. So this, let's see. All right, so we are doing some two mistakes for our, so let's go to index.html. For the li here, we didn't give it a class, so this should have a class of icons. So you save this and go back to styles.css and scroll up, and let's look for this. So the wrapper should have justify content of space between, not center, so space between. Then let's save this and go back to your browser, and now we should have everything in place. So we have our links, we have our mega menu, also we have our drop down. Now we need to write the styles for the mega menu or the navigation in mobile view. So let's go to our styles.css and let's scroll down. So scroll down and let's start with our media query. So media query. So let's start with a media query. Let's have our media, then let's start with max width, and this should be 968 pixels. Then here let's select our wrapper class, then let's get our nav list, then let's set position to fixed, then top should be 0. Let's give it left of negative 100%. Then let's set height to 100%. Then width should be 100%. Max width should be 35 rem. Then let's also give it background color of white. So background color of white. So white color. Then let's set display to block. Then overflow Y, let's give it auto. And let's give it line height also. So line height, let's give it, let's say 5 rem. Then box shadow should be 0, 1.5 rem, then 1.5 rem. Let's give it a color of RGBA, let's say 0.1. So here, let's remove this last curly brace, and let's give it some transition. So transition should be all 300 milliseconds linear. Now when wrapper has a class of show, so wrapper, let's get the nav list. So when nav list, when it has a class of show, then we want to give it left of 0. So let's go to index.html, let's add this class manually. Later we'll use JavaScript to add a class. So let's add this class show. Then let's go to our browser. So let's change this to mobile view. So around 9, so around this, let me close this, and this is what we have. it's not looking great. So let's go back to our stores of CSS. Then below that, let's start with our nav. So the li in nav list. So nav list, we want the li. Let's give it margin of 1.5 rem, then 1 rem. Then let's get the link in the nav list. So nav list, we want the links. Let's give them display block. Then font size should be 1.8 rem. Then let's set padding to, so padding should be 0, then 2 rem. Then color should be our black color, so for black. Then here, let me check the class we wrote for. Let me check the properties. So here we did the same similar thing. We give it color of black, then 1 point, then padding. All right. So here, let's move the color because in the previous one we wrote color of black. Now let's get our nav list again. Then the drop, so drop menu 1. Then we want the 2 also. So for the 2, now let's give them position of static. So static, then let's give it opacity of 1. Then visibility should be visible. And let's give it top of 6.5 rem. Then padding left. So padding left. Padding left should be, let's give it 2 rem. Then width should be 100%. Now let's set max width to, so max width should be 0. Then overflow should be hidden. Now let's get our IDs, which is show drop 1. So show drop 1. So these are the IDs. Show drop 1. So where is it? So this show drop 1, then show drop 2. So let's have those IDs. So show drop 1, when it is checked, then we want the direct child. Where is that? Then yeah, let's do drop 1. Let's copy this down. Then here we want show drop 2, and here we want this. Then the last one is show mega. So show mega, and here will be the mega class. So mega box class. So let's move this last dot here. Let's give the max width, so max height rather, of 100%. Then let's get the nav list. So nav list, and we want the drop. So drop 1 li. Let's copy this down, and here we want drop 2 li. Let's give the margin of 0. Then now let's get all the links in the drop 1 and drop 2. So we want the links. All right, we need it for, so let's copy this down, and let's change the 1 to 2. Then let's give them color of our gray color, so gray 2. Then let's set font size to 1.5 rem. Now let's get our desktop item class. So nav list, we want desktop, so item, and let's set display to none. Now we need our mobile item, so let's copy this. So let's paste it here, and let's change the desktop to mobile. So mobile. Then here, let's give it display of block. Then font size should be 1.8 rem. Then padding left should be 2 rem. Also, let's give it color of our black color. So our black color, Then let's give it cursor of pointer. Also, let's give it border radius of 0.5 rem. Then for the menu, when we hover over the mobile item, so hover, let's give it color of our primary color. Then let's get the mega box class. We want mega, so mega box. Then let's give it position of static. Then top should be 6.5 rem. Then let's give it padding of 0.2 rem. Then opacity of 1. Then visibility of visible. And let's give it max height of, so max height of 0. Then overflow of hidden, so overflow of hidden. Then let's give it some transition, so let's say here should be transition, and let's give it all 300 milliseconds, then ease. Now let's get the content in mega box. So we want, so mega box, let's paste this here. We want the content, let's close this. Then here let's give it flex direction of column, and let's give it padding, so padding should be 2 rem, 2 rem, then 0.2 rem. Let's go to our browser and check if things are okay. Let's click, this is what we have. Then for this one, nothing is working, so let's go to our styles of CSS and let's continue. So let's copy this, let's paste it here. We want the row. Now let's give it width of 100%. Then border top should be 1 pixel, solid, so solid. We want RGBA, let's give it this. Then margin bottom should be 1.5, so margin bottom should be 1.5 rem. Now let's get the content, so the content class, and we want the row, the nth child, this should be 1, and we want the second child also, so this should be 2. And let's set margin to, not margin, border top should be 0. Now let's get the mega links, so let's write row, we want mega links. So here let's put content here. Then for the mega links, let's set border left to 0, so border left should be 0. Then let's also give it padding left of 2 rem. Now let's get the LIs in mega links, so we want the LI, and let's give it margin of 0. And now let's get the button, so wrapper.btn, and let's say display to block, and the color should be our black color. So let's go to our browser and check if everything is good. All right, it does work for the mega. Okay, let's go back, and here it seems you are missing something. All right, so there is one single mistake that we did. This should be max height, not max width. So let's change this to max height, and let's save this, and let's go back to our browser. And here when we click, we get our mega menu. When we click, it collapse. Then let's click this, and now we have our drop down also. So now let's write the styles for the top div. So let's go to styles of CSS and let's scroll down. Then underneath the button, let's start with our nav list. Then we want the top. Let's give position relative. Then display should be block. Then background should be our primary color. So primary. Then we want width should be 100%. Then height should be 8 rem. And now let's get a close class also. So close btn. We want close. So btn. And let's give it position absolute. Then top should be 1.5 rem. Then right should be 2.5 rem. And let's give it color of white. So white. Then now let's get the icons. So let's copy this. Then paste it here. We want the icons. Let's give it padding left. So padding left of 2 rem. Now let's go back to our browser and let's see. So we have this. Let's open this one also. So now let's go to index.js and write some styles for the closing and the opening of the nav list. So let's go to our text editor and go to index.js, and here, so let me close this. Here let's select our open button and close button. So let's say yes, this should be open nav. Then let's say document dot query selector. So query selector, we want the class open. So open dash btn. Let's copy this down, and this will be close. So let's do close. Then let's also have another one which is for the menu. Then here we want document.query selector. Let's get our nav list. So nav list. Then underneath that, let's add an event listener to our open nav, and here let's have our callback function. So this, let's get our menu, then class list, and let's add show. Then let's copy this down. Then here let's give it, so we are going to remove the class of show, and this should be the close nav. Then let's go to index.html and let's locate nav list. We added that class manually, so let's remove this. Then let's go back to our browser and let's click, and we have our nav list. Let's click, it closes. Let's click, we have it. We have our mega menu also. Then let's click on this one also, and everything is okay. So now the next thing is to start with our hero area, which is this carousel here. So let's go back to our editor, and underneath the navigation, let's have a comment of hero. Alright, so for our hero, let's start with a div with a class of hero. So we want a class of hero, and within this div, let's have another div with a class of row. Then within the row, let's have our slider. So let's go to our browser and let's search for swiperjs.com. Then here let's click on demos. Then scroll down and look for navigation. Yeah, we have several sliders here that you can choose from, but in this case I'm going to go with the navigation one. So let's click on core. Then let me close this and wait for it to load. Then whilst it has finished loading, let's scroll down and let's look for this HTML. So this code here, let's copy this and let's go back to our text editor and let's paste it here. I'm going to remove all this. Then we want only one slider. Then here let's remove this one also. Then for the class, let's give it a class of, let's say, slider 1. Then within this, let's have an image Then this image, not a div, so you want an image. Then let's enter into images folder and let's look for hero 1. So hero 1. Then underneath that, you're going to have a div with a class of content. Then within this content, let's have an h1. Then this h1, let's give it a text of super. So super market. Then here we want vecbox. And below that, let's have a br. So br. Then underneath that, let's write start from. Then below that, let's have a span, and here let's give it $9. Then let me go up like this, and below the h1, let's have a paragraph. Then let's give a lorem of, let's say 15. So 15. Then below the paragraph, let's have a button. A button here, the text will be shop now. So shop now. Then let's save this. Then let's copy this down 2 times. So let's copy the swiper slide 2 times, which is this one. Then copy it all. So this, let's paste it down here, paste it again, and this, let's change it to 3. Then this one to 2. Then for the text, the second one should be, here should be, let's say, so your first order. So order. Then for the span, so let's remove this. So for the span, let's put something there like, let's say 20% off. Then below that, let's write at juice. So let's say juice. Then the last one, we can leave it that way. So let's go to our browser and see. Let's close this and let's open this, and this is what we have. Nothing will happen because we haven't activated the slider. So let's go to our text editor. Let's go to slider.js. Then here we are going to start with const. Then let's give it swiper 1. You can give it any name. Here we want new, then swiper. So new swiper. Then the first one is our class. So let's go and copy that class. So our custom class, which is the slider 1. Let's copy this and let's paste it here. Then the second argument is an object. Let's set autoplay to, so autoplay should be, let's give it delay of 3500 milliseconds. Then let's give it not this way, so milliseconds. Then here let's give it disable on interaction. So disable on interaction, and let's set it to false. Then below the autoplay, let's have grab. So let's say grab cursor. Let's set it to true. Then effect should be fade, which should be a string. Then let's set loop. So loop should be true also. Then underneath that, let's have our navigation. So navigation, and for the next el, let's give it a class of swiper dash next. And for the previous, so prev el, let's give it a class of swiper, so swiper dash prev. So now let's go to our browser and see if it is working. All right, everything is working. So let's go to our text editor and let's go to styles.css. Then scroll down here, let's leave a comment of hero. So now let's select our hero class. So we want the hero class, and let's give it height of 100 vh. Then let's give it position of relative, then overflow of hidden. So overflow hidden. And now let's get our swiper container class. So swiper dash container. Then we also want our hero. So the hero class hero. I want the row. And here let's set width to 100% and height to 100% also. Then below that, let's get our hero class. So we want the row. Let's paste it here. Let's give it position relative. Then let's get the image in the row. So let's copy this and let's paste it here. We want the image. Let's give it height of 100%. Then width should be 100%. Then object fit should be cover, not content, cover. Now let's get the content in the row. So we want this content. Let's go and let's copy this and let's paste it here. We want the content. Then for this, let's give it position absolute. Let's give it top of 50%. Then left should be 80 pixels. Then let's set transform to translate y. So you want the y and let's give it negative 50%. Now let's get the h1 in the content. So let's paste it here. We want the h1 and here let's give it line height of 1.2. Then let's get the font size also. Let's set it to 5 rem. Then for the font weight, let's set it to 700. Now let's get a span also. So we want the span. Yeah, we want the span. And let's give it color of, so our primary color. Then let's also get our paragraph. So let's copy this. Let's paste it here. We want our paragraph. Let's give it margin of 1 rem, 0, 1 rem. Then width should be 70%. So 70%. Then now let's get our link, which is our button. So we want our button. Let's give it display inline block. Then color should be white. So we want white. Then let's also give it background color of our, so background color of our primary color. So primary color. Then let's give it border radius of 5 pixels. So 5 pixels. Then let's set padding to, let's say 1 rem, then 2.5 rem. And let's give it margin top of, let's say 2 rem. So let's go to our browser and check if things are getting better. So this is what we are getting. So let's go to our text editor again, and here we want swiper, we want the slide. Then when it is active, then let's get our content and the h1 and let's give it animation. So animation, let's say move bottom. We want 1 second, then ease in and out. So let's copy this down 2 times. Then the second one will be our button. Then here will be move top. Then for the paragraph, let's say this will be move left. Now let's try the keyframes for the individual animation. So keyframe, so keyframes. Then here we want move, so bottom. Then at 0%, let's set transform. So we want transform translate y to be negative 100 pixels. Then at 100, so let's also give it opacity of 0. Then let's copy this down, and here let's change it to 100%. Then here will be 0 pixels. So 0 pixels, and here will be 1. So now let's copy this keyframe down 2 times. Then the second one will be move top. Then change this value, the negative. Let's move the negative from there. Then for the left, let's also give it, so this for the left. So for the left, let's give it negative. So this should be the x. So translate x. Then here also should be translate x. So here should be x. Now let's go back to our browser and see if everything is okay. Alright, it seems everything is okay. So now let's get our arrows. So let's go to index.html. Then below there, so it should be within the row. So within the row, then here let's have, let's say, a comment of carousel. So carousel navigation. Then let's start with a div with a class of arrows, and let's also give it a class of dflex. Then within this div, let's have a div with a class of swiper dash brief, and let's also give it our dflex class. Then within this, let's have our icon. So we want ibx.bx dash chevron. So chevron, and here we want left, it should be plural, so chevrons. Then we want the left, and let's also give it another class of swiper dash icon. Then let's copy this down. Then let's change the brief to next, and this, the left should be right. So right, let's go to our browser and see if they will appear. So nothing is there for now. Now let's go to styles.css and let's write some styles for it. So let's now select our arrows. So we want arrows. Then let's give it position absolute. Then top should be, so top should be 50%. Then transform translate y should be negative 50%. Then let's give it width of 100%. Then z index should be 10. Also let's give it opacity of 0. Then visibility should be hidden. Then some transition, let's give it some transition, 500 milliseconds, ease in and out. Now when we hover over the hero, so hero, when we hover, we want the arrows, so let's give it visibility of visible. Then let's give it opacity of 1. So now let's go to our browser and see if we can see something. Okay, right now we can see something. When we click, it moves. Okay, so now let's go to styles.css again, and let's get our arrows. Then we want the swiper, so swiper dash brief. Let's copy this down, and this should be next. Then here let's give it position absolute. Then padding should be 0.5 rem, then 0.7 rem. Then let's give it background color of our primary color, primary. Then let's give it border radius, so border radius, let's set it to 5 pixels. Then color should be white, so color should be white. Then let's also give it cursor of pointer. Alright, so let's copy the individual class, which is a swiper brief, and this, let's give it left of 20 pixels. Then for the next, so let's copy this down. Then for the next, so let's change the brief to next. Then here let's change it to right of. So right should be 20 pixels. So let's go to our browser and see if, all right, now this is what we have. It seems the color didn't work. This color should be white. All right, so now let's start with our media query. At media, and we want max width 567, so 567 pixels. Then let's get our hero. We want the row, we want the content, and let's set left to 20 pixels, not percent. Then let's get our h1 in the content. So we want the h1. Let's give it font size of 3 rem. Now let's also get a paragraph. So let's copy this. Let's paste it here. We want a paragraph. Let's set width to 80%. Now let's go to our browser and here. So let's go to mobile view. Now this is what we have. So let's click this like this. All right, now everything is okay. So the next thing is to start with this section, this collection section. So let's go to our text editor and here let's go. So underneath the hero, we're going to have a comment of collection. All right, so for some reason it seems you are doing some huge mistakes here. So the content should be in the body. You can see the body is here, but so let's go and copy everything and paste it within the body. I don't know why it's like that. I think it's because of my prettier here. The prettier is not working, so everything is messed up. So let's bring this and let's paste it here. All right, so now everything is in the body. And for the collection, let's start with a section with a class of section, and let's also give it a secondary class of collection. Then within this section, let's have a title. Then within this title, let's have an h2 and let's say shop collection. So shop collections. Then the paragraph, let's make it a span radar, and this let's make it a lorem of 15. I think 15 is too much, so lorem 10. 10 is also too much, so let's remove this last one, and I think this is okay. Let's remove this also to here, so you can make it lorem of 7 or 6. Then underneath, underneath the title, let's have our collection layout. So collection layout. Then let's also give it a class of container. Then within this, let's have our collection item. Then within the collection item, we are going to start with our image. Let's enter into images folder and look for promo 1. Then below the image, let's have a div with a class of content, not content, collection content. So collection content. Then let's have an h3, and here we are going to say juice. Then underneath the h3, let's have a link, and the text should be shop. So shop now. So let's copy this collection item down 5 times. Then here let's change it to, so let's start from the top. This will be 2, this will be 3, then this will be 4, this 5, then here is 6. So let's save this and go back to our browser and let's see. Okay, now we have that, but there is also an issue here. Here the color wasn't working because I did some mistake. So let's go to our styles.css. Let me find it. I'm going to use var. So var, then yeah, I'll say white. Okay, so this is a mistake. It should be 2 dash. Then let me close this. So let me go back to my browser and see if now everything works. Okay, when you make it this way, so for the mega box, let's see, it's still there. So mega box, so let's look for mega box. I don't know why I made those mistakes. So this is for mega box. Then what again? So let's go to our text editor and let's text a browser and let's see. Okay, now everything is all right. So let's start with the collection. So let's go to styles.css, and here let's leave a comment of collection. Then let's first select our section. So section, and let's give it padding of 10 rem, then 0, 5 rem, and 0. Then let's give it overflow. Let's say overflow, we don't need the X, overflow of heading. Then let's get a title class. So section, and we want the title. So let's give it text align of center. Then margin bottom should be 5 rem. Now let's get the H2 in the title. So we want the H2. Let's give it font size of, let's say 3 rem. Then font weight should be 400. Then margin bottom should be 1.5 rem. Now let's get a span in the title. So let's paste it here. We want the span. Then we're going to set color to, so we want gray 2. Then let's get this collection layout class. So this class here, let's copy this. Then here, let's paste it here. Let's set display to grid. Then grid template columns to repeat. We want 3, then 1 FR. Now let's also give it the gap of 3. So gap of 3 rem. Then let's get our collection item class. So we want collection. Here we want item. Let's give it object fit of cover. I think that would be a mistake because we have to set the image rather. So it should be the image for the image. Then here, let's give it height of 100%. Then width should be 100%. Then transition should be all 500 milliseconds. Then ease in and out, and this should be the image. Then for the collection item itself, so let's also set the object fit to cover. So for the collection item, let's give it position of relative, then overflow of hidden. So overflow hidden, then let's give it z index of 0. Now let's get the content in the collection. So we say collection content. So let's copy this and let's paste it here. We want content. Then for the content, let's set position to absolute. Then top should be 50%. Then left also should be 50%. 50%. Then let's set transform, translate to, so negative 50%, then negative 50%. Now let's give it color of white. So let's set color to white. Then let's also set text align to center. Then z index should be 3. Now let's get the h3 in the content. So you want the h3, and here let's give it background color of RGBA. So let's make it 0.3 or 0.8. So let's change it to 0.8. Then let's also give it, okay, let's see, let's remove this RGB and let's give it our primary color. I think the primary color is okay. And let's give it color of white, and let's set border radius to 5 rem, then padding should be 0.7 rem, then 1.4 rem. Then let's give it font size of 1.7. So font size should be 1.7 rem. Then font width should be inherit. Then margin bottom should be 1 rem. Then let's give some transition or 300 milliseconds, then ease in and out. All right, so now let's get the link in the collection content. You want the link. Let's also give it this same transition, so let's paste it here. Then let's give it font size of 1.4, so 1.4 rem. Now when we hover over this link, so when we hover, we want to change the color to our primary color. So color should be our primary color. So let's go back to our browser and see if things are getting better. So here there is some issue here. So let's go to index.html. Then here, let's see, we need to close this. Let's save this and go back, and now it's okay. All right, so let's go to styles.css again. Then for the collection item, so let's say collection item. When we hover, then we want collection content, we want the h3. Then you're going to set background color to white, so var white, and let's give it color of black. So color should be black. So for the image, when we hover, let's give it scale, so transform. Then we want scale of, let's say, 1.2. Then for the item also, we want, let's have some after for it, so after, and let's give it content of an empty string. Then position absolute, top should be 0, then left should also be 0. Let's set z index to 1. Then width should be 100%, height should be 100%. Also, let's give it some background color. So background color of RGBA, let's say 0.4. So let's change the 0.1 to 4. Then opacity should be 0, and visibility should be hidden. Then let's give it some transition. So let's copy this transition here and let's paste it here. Let's change it to 500. Then when we hover over the item, not this, so this is the item. Okay, let's copy this. So when we hover over it, then we want it after should have visibility of visible, then opacity of 1. Alright, so let's go back to our browser and see if everything is working alright. Okay, so now let's go to our text editor and let's write some media query. So media, and we want max width. So max width, let's set it to 1200 pixels. And for this, let's get our h3 in the collection content. So collection content, we want the h3, and let's give it, let's say, background color of, I think this h3, so background color should be our black color, but we don't need that. So let's just change the font size. Font size should be 1.6 rem, because in the previous one we gave it font size of 1.7. Then the media query for 996, so for 996 pixels, let's get the collection layout. Then let's remove this h3 from here. Yeah, let's give it grid template columns of, so repeat, we want to the 1fr. Let's copy this down for 768, so 768, and yeah, let's make it only one color, so 1fr. Then let's go to our browser and see if everything is okay. So let's go to mobile view, and this is what we have, and I think everything is okay. So now the next thing is to start with this featured section, which is a featured product with this slider. So let's go to our text editor and to index.html. After the collection, let's leave a comment of, let's say, featured, so section. Alright, so for the featured section, let's start with the section with a class of section, and let's also give it another class of featured. Then within this, let's have our title. So but let's copy this one, the title that we have here. So let's copy this and paste it here. Then let's change the shop collection to featured product. Then below the title, let's have a class of row with a class of container. Then within this, we are going to have our swiper, which is our slider. So let's start with a div with a class of swiper container. Then let's also give it another class of slide, so slider 2. Then within this, we are going to have our swiper wrapper. We want wrapper. Then within this, we are going to have another swiper, so swiper dash slide. Then within the slide, we're going to have our individual products, so this should be product. Then let's start with our image container, so img dash container. Then within this, we are going to have an image. Then this should be into, let's go into our images folder and let's look for product 1. Then below this, we are going to have our div with a class of add cart. Then this will have an icon which will be ifs.fa dash shopping dash cart. Then underneath the add cart, we are going to have a URL with a class of side icons. Then this will have a span, and within this span, you're going to have, let's say, ifas. So this will be icons fa dash search. Let's copy this down 2 times, and the second one will be far, and we want hat. So hat Then the last one will be FAS, and this we want slider, so sliders dash H. All right, so underneath the image container, so this is the image container. Below it, let's have a div with a class of button. Then within this, we are going to have a link, and this should lead to product dot, so product details dot html, which we haven't created yet. Then this will have a text of, let's say, Bambi print mini fruit. Let's just say fruit. Then let's, below this link, let's have our price, so a div with a class of price. Then this will have a span. This should be, let's say, $150. All right, so let's copy this product. So swiper slide, so let's copy this down, like, let's say 5 times, 1 2 3 4 5. Then let's go and change the individual images, so this should be 2, and this should be 3, this should be 4, then 5, we want 6, and I think that's it. Let's save this and go to our browser and see if we have some nice thing to look at. Let's see. So this is what we have. We have to activate this slider, so let's go to slider.js, and here let's copy this thing down. Let's change the 1 to 2. Then let's remove autoplay. Don't need autoplay. What we want is, okay, we don't also need fade, the effect, we don't need it. Then here let's set space, so space between, we want 30. Then below the loop, let's have our navigation. I don't think we need the loop also. So here we want our navigation, and this should be custom. So let's move swiper and let's change it to custom. So custom brief. Then let's have some breakpoints. Here will be break point. Then here let's say 640, not like this, 640. We want slides per view, so slides per view should be 2. So let's copy this down 2 times, and this should be 768. Then the value should be 3, and this, let's make it 10 24, and this should be 4. All right, so let's go to our, and this is what we have. Doesn't look great, so we need to go to styles.css and start writing some styles for it. So let's leave a comment of, let's say, product, or let's say featured product. So featured product. Then let's get our section. We are going to write a class that we'll be using later on. So product layout. Then here let's set display to grid, then grid template columns to repeat. We want auto fit, so auto fit. Then let's say min max, let's set it to 25 rem, then 1 fr. Then below that, let's have a gap of 3 rem. Then let's set max width to, let's say, 130 rem. Then margin should be 0, then auto. Then also let's set padding to, let's say, 0, then 1.6 rem. Now let's get the product. So we want product. Let's set overflow to hidden. Now let's get the image container in the product. So you want the img dash container. Then let's set position to relative. Cursor should be pointer. Then let's get the image in the img container. We want the image, and let's give it width of 100%, then height of 100% also, and object fit. So object fit should be cover. So now let's get the bottom. So we want product, and we want the bottom class. Then let's set padding to 1 rem. Then text align should be center. Then let's get a link. We want the link. Let's set margin bottom to 1 rem. Then font weight should be inherit. Then font size should be 1.5. Then when we hover over it, so when we hover, we want it to set a color to our primary color. Now let's get a span in the bottom. So we want a span. Let's set color to our primary color also. The font size should be, so font size should be 1.8 rem. So let's go to our browser and see. Alright, so when the span has a class of cancelled, so the bottom, when we have a div with a class of cancelled, let's set font size to 1.4 rem. Then color should be our gray color. Then text decoration should be line through. Now let's get the product, and we want the add cart class. Let's go and check if we are selecting that right. So this is this icon here, and let's set position to absolute. Let's set right to, we want right to be 0. Then bottom should be 0.6 rem. Then background color should be a white color, and border radius should be, so border radius should be 50%. Then let's set padding to, let's say 1.3 rem and also 1.6 rem. Then box shadow should be 0.5 rem, 1.5 rem. Then RGBA, let's set it to 0.1. Let's also give it some transition. So transition, let's set it to all 300 milliseconds is in and out. So when we hover over the product, so when we hover, we want the add cart to have border radius of 1 rem 0, 0, 0. Then when we hover over this, so we want product, then add cart. When we hover, let's set background to our primary color. Then let's give it color of white. Now let's get all the links in the product. Not all the links, all the icons. Let's give them transition of this transition. So let's paste it here. Then now let's get our class, which is product. Then we want the side icons. Let's set position to absolute. Then right should be 0. Then top should be 30%. Let's say transform. So translate. Let's set it to 80% and negative 50%. And let's set display to flex. Then flex direction should be column and padding should be 1 rem. Then transition, let's set it to this transition. But let's change this to 500 milliseconds. Then let's get a span in the side icons. We want the span. Let's set font size to 1.4. Then background should be white and margin should be 0.3. Then padding also should be 1 rem, then 1.3 rem. Let's get border radius and let's make it 50%. Let's copy this transition and paste it here. And let's change the 500 to 300. Now when we hover over this span, let's change the color to so when we hover, let's change the color to, so the background color should be our primary color. Then let's give it color of white. So let's go and check if things are the way we want it. Alright, let's go back to our text editor and here let's select product. When we hover, then we want the side icons. Let's set transform to translate. Let's say 0%, then negative 50%. Now let's go and check it and see. Okay, this is what we got. This icon, I think there is some mistake with it. So let's go to index.html and for the icon, let's see, we wrote, so it should be sliders. So copy this class, sliders, paste it here, and let's replace it with sliders. So click on this, replace all, then save this and go back to your browser and now the icon should work. Okay, so now let's continue with the styling. So here let's get our featured class. So you want featured and let's set position to relative and let's go to index.html and let's go and copy this navigation here. So let's copy this navigation and let's go to our featured. So it should be within the section. So let's scroll down here and let's paste it here and let's change this to, so let's say featured navigation and this should be custom. Alright, so let's go to style.css and let's select that arrow. So featured and we want arrows Let's set position to absolute. Top should be 35%. Then Z index should be 10. Let's set width to 100 pixels. Then right should be 10%. Now let's get the custom, next, and previous. So you want custom, so you want next. Let's copy this down. This should be prev. Let's set position to absolute. Then padding should be 0.7 rem and also 1 rem. Then let's set background color to our primary color. Then border radius should be 5 pixels. Then color should be white. Now let's set cursor to pointer. So cursor should be pointer. And now let's get our previous. So let's copy this. Let's paste it here. And here let's set left to 10 pixels. And let's copy this down. And let's change the prev to next. Next. And let's change right, so left to right. So let's go to our browser and see. Alright, we have it here. Okay. So go back to styles of CSS and let's write some media query. So media. I want max width to be, let's say, 996 pixels. And here let's get our product layout. And let's give it grid template columns of repeat. Then 1 3, then 1 FR. Then let's copy this down. For 768, let's make it 2. Then for 567, we want only 1 column. So here will be 1 FR. So go to index.html and below that let's write product. Then this will have, let's give it section, and let's also give it a class of section and another class of product. Then we're going to have our title. So let's go and copy this title here. We're going to have this title and let's paste it here. Let's change the title here to new products. So new products, and underneath the title let's have a div with a class of product layout. Then within this, I'm going to have individual products. So let's go and copy one here. So one product. Let's copy this one and let's paste it within this. Okay, not like this. Don't know why it formatted this way, but I think like this is okay. And let's change the product to, this should be 1. Then let's copy this product down. So let's check if we are selecting the product. So let's copy it down maybe 10 times or, and let's change the numbers randomly. So just change them randomly. This will be maybe 6. This will be 2. This should be, let's say, 8. This should be, let's say, 10. Let's check our product and see if they're up to 10. Okay, it's up to 14. Then this, we can make it 11. This should be 12. Then here let's have what is this? Let's say 7, and this, let's make it 9, and here should be, let's say 13. I don't think 13 exists. Let's make it 1, so it should still be 1. So let's save this and go to our browser, and this is what we have. Okay, I think we need 2 more. So let's go down, and for the product, so let's copy this 1, 2, and let's change the image. Here we can make it 3, and here let's make it 11. So now let's go back to our browser and see. Okay, all right, so the next thing we have to do is to start with this section here, these banners here. So let's go to our text editor, and here let's leave a comment of advert. So underneath the section, let's leave a comment of advert. All right, so for the advert, let's start with a section with a class of section, and let's also give it another class of advert. Then within this, we're going to have a div with a class of advert layout. So advert layout, and let's also give it our container class. Then within this, let's have the individual items. So here let's have an image. Let's enter into images folder. Let's look for banner 1. Then below the image, let's have a div with a class of content and another class of left. Then within this, you're going to have a span, and the text should be exclusive. So exclusive sales. Then below this span, let's have an H3 with a text of spring. Let's say collection. So collections. Then underneath this, let's have our button. We should have view collection. Then let's copy this item down, and let's change the image to 2, and this should be, let's say, new trending. Then the button should be shop, so shop now. So let's save this and go. So let's scroll down, and this is what we have. So let's go to our text editor, and let's go to index.html. So here let's leave a comment of advert. Then let's select our advert class, and let's also get our advert layout. So let's go and copy that. So let's copy this, and let's paste it here. Then let's set display to grid, then grid template columns to 1fr, and let's give it gap of 3, so 3 rep. Now let's get the item in the advert layout. So let's place it here. We want the item, and let's set position to relative, then set index to 0. Let's set width to 100%, and overflow, let's set it to hidden. Now let's get the image. So we want the image img. Let's set object fit to cover, and let's set height to 100%. Then width should be 100% also, and let's set transition to, let's say, all. Then 300 milliseconds is in and out. Now let's get the content. So here let's say content, let's say position absolute, then top should be 50%, then transform translate y should be negative 50%, and let's set z index to, let's say, 1. Okay, so let's get the left. So the content, we want the left, and let's set right to 10 pixels. So let's copy this down, and the second one should be right. So let's check if we change that. So here should be right. Then let's go to style of CSS and let's change this to right, and this should be left of 10 pixels. Let's go to our browser and see if we are getting everything correct. So here, let's inspect this. We want the left, and the left, the class is not there. Okay, so this shouldn't be like this, it should be like this rather. Now let's go back and see, and now it looks okay. So let's continue, and for the advert layout, let's get the content. So the content, and we want the span. Let's give it display block. Then margin bottom should be 1 rem. Then transition, let's set it to all. 300 milliseconds is in and out. Now let's copy this down for the h3. So we want this for the h3. Then here, let's set font size to, so font size should be 3 rem. Then font width, let's leave font width that way. We don't want display block. Okay, so now the next thing is to get our links. So for, let's say this, and let's give it some transition. So let's paste it here, and when we hover over it, let's change the color. So when we hover over the link, we want the color to be our primary color. So primary. Then let's get the item after. So let's copy this, and let's paste it here. We want the item and it after. Then let's set content to empty string. Then position to absolute. Top should be 0. Left should be 0. And let's set width to 100%. Then height to 100%. And let's copy this transition and paste it here. Now when we hover over the item, so let's copy this, let's paste it here. When we hover, then we want it after to have a background color of, let's say, RGBA. We want 74, then 2, 3, so 2 to 3, and we want 82. Then let's give it 0.4. Then when we hover over the item, so this spelling is wrong. When we hover over the item, we want the content. So this content should have a color of white. And also when we hover, let's give some scale to our image. So img, let's give it transform. So transform, let's give it 1.1. Then let's copy this down also, and this will be for our links. Now let's write some media query. So media, and we want max width to be 996 pixels. But before that, let's go and check if everything is okay. Okay, I think everything is alright. So let's go back, and so let's move this. Within this, let's say advert layout, we want the left, let's set it to 5 pixels. There is something wrong here. We want advert layout, and here let's set right to 5 pixels. Then for the left, so the div, let's get the right, and let's change the left, let's change the right to left. Okay, now let's copy this down. Then let's change the value to 768, and then let's remove all this, and we want the advert layout. But before that, let's write the advert class, and here let's set grid template columns to 1fr. Now let's copy this again. Then for 5, 6, so 5, 6, 7, yeah, we want content, and let's say the span. Then let's give it font size of 1.5 rem. Then margin bottom should be 0.6 rem. Now let's get the h3 also. So for the h3, we're going to have similar properties. So let's copy this and let's paste it here, and here should be h3, and the font size should be 2 rem. Then margin bottom should be 0.6. Now for the link, so let's copy this and paste it here. Then we want for our links, let's give them some transition. We want all 300 milliseconds is in and out. Now let's go back and see if everything is all right. So let's go to mobile view. Let's change this to iPhone 6. Let's see. Okay, it looks all right. Now the next thing is to start with this brand section. So let's go to index.html. Then let's start with a section. So here, let's start with a section. So let's write a comment of brands. Then let's start with a section with a class of section. Then let's also give it another class of brands. Then here we are going to have our title. Then within this, let's have some h2. Let's say shop by brands. Then below that, let's have a span rather, and this one let's give lorem of, let's say 7. Then below that, below the title div, let's have a div with a class of brand layout, and let's also give it another class of container. Then here we're going to have our swiper container, so a div with a class of swiper dash container, and this should also have another class of slider 3. Then within this, we're going to have our swiper, so swiper dash wrapper. Then within the wrapper, we're going to have our individual slides, so swiper dash slide. Then here, let's have our image. Let's enter into images folder and let's look for brand 1. Let's copy this down, like let's say 5 times. Let's change this to 2, this to 3, to 4, then 5, and let's say 6 and 7. So 6, 5, then 6 and 7. Here should be 7. Let's save this and go to our browser and let's see. So let's come here. So So this is what we have. Let's activate this slider. So go to slider.js, then let's copy this down, and here let's change the 2 to 3. So let's make it 3. Then loop will be true. Then we are going to have autoplay. So let's go to the first one and copy this, and let's paste it here. Then gap will be 30. Then we don't need this. Then for slides per view, let's copy this and let's paste it here. For the slides per view, let's make it 2, which is correct. Then for this one, let's remove this breakpoint. For 768, let's make it 3. Then for 1024, let's make it 5. So let's save this and go to our browser, and now this is what we have. So let's see if we can grab, because we set this to true. Alright, so let's go to styles.css and let's start writing some styles for the brands. So first, let's leave a comment of brands. Then here, let's get our brands class. Then we want the swiper container. Let's set height to 100%. Then width should also be 100%. Then let's get the image. Let's paste this here. I want the slide. I want the image. Let's set it to width of 100%. Then height should also be 100%. Then object fit should be cover. So let's go to our browser and see if this is alright. Okay, it is good. Now let's go to mobile view to see. So in mobile view, it should be 2. Alright, so now the last thing is the footer. So this footer, so let's go to index.html, and below the section, let's leave a comment of footer. Alright, so let's start with our footer tag. So footer, and let's give it a class of section, and also let's also give it another class of footer, then an ID of footer. Then within this, you're going to have our container. Then within the container, let's have our footer container also. So footer, so we want footer container. Then within the footer container, let's start with our footer center. Then in footer center, I want to have an H3, which will say, let's say extra. Then below that, we're going to have some links. So this, let's say brands. So let's copy this down. Then let's copy footer center down 2 times. Then this will be, let's say information. Then this will also be, this will be my account. Then the last center. So here we're going to have a div with a class of footer center. And this last one, we're going to start with this H3, which will be contact us. Then below that, we're going to have a div, and this div will contain to contain an icon. We want fas.fa-map, then -marker-alt. Then underneath this, we are going to have some text. Let's say 42 dream, that's the location, house. Then here will be, so let's copy that from the website. So let's go to this place. Let's copy this and let's paste it here. Then let's copy this div down two times, and the second one should be FA, so it should be FAR, then FA, we want envelope. Then for the text, we are going to say company, so company at gmail.com. Then for the third one, we are going to say FAS, then FA, we want phone. And for the text, let's put some phone number there. Let's say let's just generate some random phone number. Then for the last div, so this last div is going to have a class of payment, so methods, and this is going to have an image. Let's go to our images folder and let's look for payments.png. Let's go to our browser and see if we are on track. So this is what we have. Now let's go to styles.css and let's start writing some styles for the footer. So first, let's leave a comment of footer. Then let's get our footer, and we want background color. So background color, it should be our black color. Then let's give it some padding, not this way, padding. Let's set it to 6 rem and 1 rem. Then let's give it line height of 3 rem. Now let's get our footer center, and we want the span. Let's set margin right to 1 rem. Then let's get the footer container. And let's give it display grid template columns. Let's set it to repeat, and we want for 1 FR. Then let's set color to white. Now let's get the footer center again. Then we want the link, and when we visit it, so visited, and let's set display to block. Then color should be, let's give it F1, F1, F1. Then transition, let's set it to 0.6 seconds. Now when we hover over this, let's change the color. So when we hover, let's change the color to primary. Then let's copy this, not this way. We want the div. Let's set color to this color, so this color, and let's change the font size also to 1.4 rem. Then for the H3, let's set, so we want the H3, let's set font size to 1.8 rem. Then font weight should be 400, margin bottom should be 1 rem. Now let's get the payment methods class. So footer, we want payment methods. What am I even typing? Now let's set margin top to 2 rem. Now let's go to our browser and see. Okay, it looks alright. So now for our media query. So here let's give it max width. So max width, let's set it to 998 pixels. Then for the footer center, not footer center, the container, let's give it grid template columns of. So you want to repeat this, let's make it 2 columns and 1 FR. Then let's give it a row gap of 2. Gap of 2 rem. Then let's copy this down. Then at 768, so 768, let's give it only 1 column. Then let's remove this row gap and let's check it and see. Not this way. Okay, everything is correct. Now it's left with the fixed nav. When, let's see if, okay, I think this is it. Let's see. Okay, we need to go to index.html. Then here let's leave a comment of fix nav. Then let's get our nav bar. We want document.query selector. So let's get our nav. Let's copy this down. No, let's do it that way. Let's get the height. So const nav height. So you want nav bar dot get bounding client rec, and here we want the height. Then let's add event listener to the window, and we want a scroll event. Then I'll call back, and here let's get a scroll height. So scroll height, which should be window dot page y offset. Then if scroll height is greater than the nav height, here let's get our nav bar dot class list. Let's add fix nav, then else. Let's remove that class. Let's go and check if it is working. So let's scroll. Okay, it has been added. Let's go, it has been removed. So the next thing is to code the cart page and also the product details page. So see you in the next video.